The world's biggest economy, the USA, has recorded its worst growth figures in a decade. During the first quarter of this year, gross domestic product, that's the value of all goods and services produced, fell by 4.8%. Now, as a comparison, in the fourth quarter of last year, before the pandemic, GDP increased by 2.1%. Our North America correspondent Nick Bryant is in New York with the latest for us.
These figures here show what we've already seen with our own eyes, which is the American economy has come to a shuddering halt. And worse is still to come. Some economists believe that the next quarter could see a contraction of 30%, the kind of convulsion that we haven't seen since the 1930s. Now, the Federal Reserve said tonight that it would keep its benchmark interest rate at near zero until the US economy recovers. And governors across America are going to come under heightened pressure to gradually open up the economies. But in cities like New York, that's a risky thing to do.
New York is a city caught between dread and desire. Desperate to open up after 6 weeks in lockdown, but fearful of the fatal consequences of doing so too soon. A New York without New Yorkers has hammered the economy. Its tourism and hospitality sectors have also been decimated. Wall Street, America's financial hub, fears the onset of another Great Depression. But even though the city is past the peak of its outbreak, the density of its population makes it especially hazardous to quickly open up. That COVID conundrum.
I can't even wrap my head around it. It's incredible.
Steve Margarella owns a road building firm in Staten Island, which he fears will be bankrupt by June. He's a Trump supporter who believes the Democrats who run New York are being too cautious.
If I'm not working and this economy is not opened up and these fearmongers don't back off where they got everybody scared to death, we all go out of business.
Steve, it's a vicious virus. I've had it myself. You accept that?
And I'm sorry to hear that. The reality of it is people are going to continue to get sick. I don't think they're going to continue to get sick at any alarming rate.
We're seeing more beggars on New York streets. This is Harlem, a mainly African-American community severely hit by this health and economic contagion. And this is upscale Soho, the home of high-end retail, boarded up like a hurricane is about to rip through, which economically it has. Every single shutdown day.
Don't open up too soon.
But public health officials such as Danielle Ompad, who live in these communities, warn against the rush to reopen.
People are hurting financially. They're struggling to feed their families. But we really need to take this slow, because I would hate for us to have to shut down the economy again if we get more cases.
This is one of the most impatient cities in the world. They talk about the New York minute. It means right now, immediately, without hesitation. But although some parts of this state could start the gradual process of reopening in mid-May, here in New York City, the tough restrictions will remain in place, certainly for weeks, and maybe for many months.
Every night at 9 o'clock, the Empire State Building is illuminated in a red and white siren light to honor the emergency workers providing care. It's a ritual that will continue until this crisis is over. But that's the unanswerable question. When will New York return to being New York? Nick Bryant, BBC News, New York.